Kosher Wine Podcast with Dr. Kenny Friedman and Rabbi Yisroel Bernath.
Yisroel Bernath here, co-host of the Kosher Wine Podcast with Dr. Kenny Friedman. A few days ago, I had the pleasure of hosting an incredible evening in Montreal. I felt like a conductor. It was Yaacov Oryah, the legendary Yaacov Oryah's first trip to Canada. And so I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. And I paired him up with one of the most talented chefs I know, Yossel Backman of YB Experience. And it was a magical night. A jazz trio, about 50 guests. We paired 7 of Yaakov's wines with food that absolutely complemented the wine perfectly. And so after the event, we were a bit exhausted, but I sat down with Yaakov and Yossel to talk about the pairing, and we got into Yaakov's history, winemaking history, his story. We spoke about a lot of the wines. We got Yossel in speaking about, kind of complementing those wines with some of the foods. The conversation was about 2 hours, so you'll have to bear with us on this one. We definitely geeked out quite a bit on just wine and food, and I haven't seen an event or an experience like this. I'm sure there are. I just don't know of them. Actually, preparing for it, Yossel and I sat down and tasted each of the wines that we were going to pair, and we spent a lot of time working on each of the flavors to bring out those flavors. And so I actually did record that. And if anybody's interested, if you really want to geek out and get like the behind or under the hood of how we made the event, you can message me and I'll be happy to send you that video. It's like, I think probably 3 or 4 hours of just going over each of the tasting notes and trying to figure out what would pair with it. I mean, we had some incredible pairings. For me, we did a kosher filet mignon with pomegranate glazed carrot and like layered roots and this deep savory juice. And there was just a beautiful, beautiful pairing. For me, also, the most amazing was a dessert. We took Yaakov's late harvest Gewürztraminer and we jellified the wine. And then with poached pear, lychee, rosé sorbet with pistachio, ginger, and this soft floral sweetness. It was like a physical food construction of the wine. It was like eating the wine. It was something I've always dreamed of experiencing, but had it for the first time. We took Yaakov's Light from Darkness and paired it up with this, like the silken spaghetti squash soup that was infused with a chamomile oil with chive and white pepper. It was to live for. I don't like to say the other one. It was to live for. We had a lamb riblet with black garlic. It was like glazed in black garlic and like anchored by smoke, very slow, really slow. And lifted with cherry, and we paired that with Yaakov's human touch. We talk a little bit about it in our conversation, some of those pairings, but a lot of the conversation is really about Yaakov and about him and his winemaking. And so I'm here alone without Kenny because I ended up doing this conversation live in Montreal. And so without any further introduction, welcome to the wines, the pairings, the philosophy, the risks, an intimate conversation with the legendary Yaacov Oryah and Yossel Backman and a few others that happen to be around that kind of, you may hear a little bit of them throughout the conversation. It was a beautiful moment, a beautiful evening. Can't wait for you to listen or watch. We're here. We're in Montreal.
Montreal, right.
And
After a night like this, you might forget where you are.
For a moment, I forgot. We're in another world. So it's an honor to have both of you on the podcast for the first time. Yaacov Oryah from Yaacov Oryah Wine and the Pinto Winery.
Yes.
And Yossel Backman, the chef. And tonight we hosted a wine pairing of many of your wines.
A fascinating wine pairing, really. Not something I'm used to. It's usually something I'm involved with, and here somebody gave his own interpretation, and it was fabulous, really. Sharkoch, did an amazing job.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy when you have wines like yours. It's exciting. It's fun.
I want to talk about the food in a second, but Yaacov, what? Give us a little bit of a picture. I think we're just going to parachute in.
Okay.
And then my hope is that we'll kind of parachute out. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about the wine. I want to talk about your background as well. But we'll just start kind of where we are. What fascinated you about tonight?
First of all, Montreal. I mean, I didn't see the city. I landed an hour before the event. But the crowd here, I mean, it's something you told me about for a long time. And I found here a crowd of people that enjoy wine, appreciate wine, of crowds I didn't expect them to enjoy wine. There was a whole group of a Hasidic group that was here that was fascinating to me. You know, it's not what I would expect. People that will come to a wine tasting or food and wine tasting, and secondary, their interest, their understanding, their involvement. It was just lovely. You told me a while ago that that wine is made maybe in Israel, but it's consumed in Montreal, and I thought about that because as a wine industry in Israel, not just myself, but the industry, we go put a lot of focus. Whoever exports to America gives attention to go to America, to go to the tastings, to go to the KFWE, to go to the events, to go to California, and like, why not Canada? Why not Montreal? And I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy to meet the people. I'm happy to be able to present my wines personally. I'm very, very happy for the opportunity.
Yeah, and a lot of people here drink wine as part of the culture. I think maybe especially in Montreal where it's French culture. Mm-hmm. So people are used to having a glass of wine with dinner. It's not shocking for somebody on a Tuesday night to have a glass of wine with dinner. And maybe it's not like that in other places.
It's not in the kosher world as much. Right.
And so people drink wine, and they also drink good wine. And your wines are fine wines.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people here, listening to the conversations of people having just about the wine, I think it shocked them. People are used to large fruit cabs from Israel. And I'm not saying anything against it. But what was amazing to me is we had 9 wines here tonight, and there wasn't one cab.
And none of them were overripe and heavy.
Right. Or over-oaked.
Or over-oaked.
You know, that makes me very happy.
Is the video supposed to be working?
Yeah, the video's working.
Ah, okay. Good.
Yeah. It's better not to see yourself, right? So, this was, for me, a dream come true. To take your wine, which I love so much, to present it in the best way possible, and to pair it up with Yossel. And that's why I'm happy to have Yossel. I'm happy to have you here as well. Yossel and I preparing for this event, we sat something just like this. We literally sat
Literally.
just like
Laptop,
this.
bottles of
The
wine,
laptop,
glasses.
the video in front of us, because I wanted to kind of give an under the hood of what it took to create an event like this, and that just kind of introduce the kosher world to the idea of pairing. That food can bring out the flavors of the wine, and your wine specifically is the kind of wine that does very well with food. Not every wine, you can say that all of a sudden you have a wine and it's good, and then you add food to it and it becomes spectacular. Your wine does have that kind of feel to it. And so we sat like this for hours talking about each of the notes, which foods we thought would pair well. And then, I mean, Yossel, what you did the past few days, I don't know how you're still awake.
I don't either.
Maybe you need another glass of wine. We're going to get to that soon. It was, I mean, every single dish. I've hosted many, many wine tastings. I don't often get to sit down, but Sarah and I were talking before the night, and we said, we're going to sit down and have every single dish tonight, just to be able to appreciate and enjoy every one. It just, the night, boom, boom. And then the dessert.
Mind-blowing. Really. I actually I had a lot of food and wine pairings, Baruch Hashem. I never had a wine translated into food, because all the notes of the wine were there. The rose petal, the citrus zest, the lychee. It's just all there, all balanced, all together, all not overpowering each other, not overpowering at all.
Yeah.
It was just really mind-blowing.
It was just spectacular.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was trying to put that whole dessert together, it wasn't pulling together like in my head. It wasn't there. And it went out, and then I finally tasted, the whole thing together, and I was like, wait, that's good.
It works.
That's really good,
What Yossel said to me, he's going to jellify the wine as part of the dessert. And I said, I think we should talk to Yaakov about jellifying his wine.
No, you don't need to talk to me. It's fine.
He's like, no, I want to surprise him. I said, okay, it's on you. If he gets upset at me that you took apart his wine.
On the contrary, it's just lovely.
I think
Really?
it's a fun expression. It's a fun way to see it. It hits the palate differently. There's different notes that kind of get stronger when it's in a different version.
Right.
When I tasted it plain, you don't get as much of the fruit. The alcohol came through a little bit more, I found. And I thought that was just interesting because the dessert had a lot of fruit and it had a lot of those floral notes and, everything else. And then now it had a little, boozy kick at the end. And to finish off the night after a bunch of glasses, why not? Why not? Can't go wrong with a little extra wine.
You've cooked a lot of dinners in your life.
I have.
You've never done a pairing like
I've
this.
never done a proper pairing like this, no.
What was it like? Now that you've done it.
Incredible. I think more people need to appreciate how the food interacts with the wine, because it levels up. The wine becomes louder, the food becomes more vibrant and more exciting. It's like the whole thing just becomes an uplifted experience. That before it's okay, it's a great dish. A dish is a great dish. The wine is a good glass of wine. But together, there's a story. Together, there's a picture. And when you're able to really dive into that and experience that, it's something completely different. It's a full circle.
When Chazal want to teach people modesty, they tell them, "Dam ein bata v'lana ta'olech." And I think in winemaking, if you want to make a wine that knows how to talk with food, you have to remember that "Dam ein bata v'lana ta'olech" as a wine. That means you're not there to show kofi v'osim yadi.
Right.
But you're there to eventually meet a dish. So maintain your proper place. Be everything you could be, but don't be there to impress. Be there to enjoy.
I think the key was to be able to meet the food and not overpower it. or to meet the wine and not overpower it. When I was eating, which was very different than planning, I was wondering, and maybe this is a little Talmudic of me, I have to use my Talmudic thumb. Do I drink the wine and then eat the food, or do I eat the food and then drink the wine?
Oh, it's a machloket Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai.
Exactly.
Do both.
The truth is, it's a different experience. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes one is better and sometimes the other is better. Because think of it, we talk in wine tasting about finish, that what you swallow and what stays in your mouth afterwards.
Yeah.
And what's the sense of a finish? It lingers, okay, that's nice. But if you think of food and wine pairing, the finish is the reception committee for the bite.
Right.
What's left in your mouth afterwards is going to be part of the bite, and it's going to blend with it. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. That was what was most interesting, because you would think you want to drink the wine first, and then you eat the food, and then, so I did that every single time, and I think maybe like it kind of does it make sense that it kind of creates something in your mouth, that having the wine first and then the food, and then doing it the opposite, all of a sudden it brings out it, like the food becomes bursting with flavor.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, like you see the whole evolution. You taste the wine, you taste the food, and then you're able to then go back into the wine, and you still have those notes, and it's still lingering on your palate. The dish and the wine, and it's bigger.
What I could say about every dish is that it was a great pairing. That means it's not simple at all.
It took a lot of hours.
Over the years, I've been involved in the subject quite a lot. It's really not simple. It's simple on a simple level. That means, those classical things,
Right.
To keep it the most simplest, white wine with fish and red wine with... But there's such a diversity of...
Like what we did tonight. We switched it up a little bit.
That's right. There's such a diversity of meat. There's such a diversity of white. There's such a diversity of red wines.
Yeah.
If you want to go beyond simple, you want to talk about real pair, then it's really... You can't make a wine to match a food because it's in the bottle. You can't change it.
Yeah.
The art is preparing the food to match the wine, which is what you did.
After doing this, sitting with Yaakov now that the event is over, do you have any questions? Do you have any things that you want to clarify now that you have interacted with his wine in a way that
we booking a flight and going to Israel? But beyond that,
because you've interacted with his wine in a way that most people haven't.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jellifying the wine. Sorry.
No, I mean, I don't know if there's particularly a question about the wines beyond I need to get more and drink more of it. But I guess I'm a little fascinated just about you and how you ended up making wines like this as opposed to everything else.
Somebody said to me tonight, they were keeping track, and she said to me so beautiful, how great is God, she said, that we tasted 23 different varieties of grapes tonight. That there's not one variety of grape or two varieties of grape, but we tasted so many different varieties of grapes. And I said, wow, how beautiful a thought.
Yeah, I never counted it myself. To answer your question, I think there's two levels. One of them is reality and one of them is fantasy. The reality is that when I knew nothing about wine and I wanted to learn, so I started with the wine tastings, and I happened to fall upon an importer of Burgundy wines and the top names of Burgundy. And all I knew for the first 2 years of my becoming familiar with wines was very refined Burgundy wines. They're not tannic, they're silky, they're full of flavor, but they're gentle, they're refined. And I think that sets the benchmarks for my palate. And that's the reality. And the fantasy is that, I don't know why, but I always had a fantasy in my in my mind that food and wine belong together. I don't know why, because I didn't come from that kind of house. But in my mind, that's that. I don't know why, but that was the fantasy, and I always had that in mind when I was making wine. And the truth is that my wines became accepted and popular in the restaurants in Tel Aviv. And then maybe there's an effect of a chicken. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Because once you're working with restaurants, you make wine that fits restaurants, or it's because I'm making wine for restaurants. I got there, I'm sure it interacts, but I believe wine is a beverage, and we should remember that it's not there to impress. It's there to be consumed with friends, with food.
Yeah. Take us back. You just kind of touched on it. How did it all start?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why my drive to wine developed. As I said, talking this evening, I my familiarity. My acquaintance with wine was through Kiddush as a kid. I never thought of it as a beverage. It was a Kedusha Kedusha. You don't want your tefillin to taste good.
Right.
You don't want the talis to feel good. You do it.
Hashem chose that we should honor Hashem with wine. So
it has to be from grapes and fermented. And and then after I was in the army, I came to the United States, and I was staying by family here. And for the first time, I tasted wines that tasted good. And that was a revelation.
Do you remember which wines those were?
I think it was Lambrusco from Italy, and there was some wines from California, which I don't remember, but I remember there were two of them that actually tasted good. Somebody that didn't drink wine, and it became like a small hobby. Like when I would make Kiddush, I would open 2 bottles instead of 1, and compare the tastes. This tastes this. I didn't even know how to give it names, but they were different. And then at a later age, I got a gift of a book about all the wineries in Israel. And
that wine journey book?
Yeah, Shvili Yain.
Yeah.
And it said there that there was a winery called Saslov, and Barry Saslov taught how to taste wine. And I thought, till that point, that wine tasting is something you're born with. Like there's some unique individuals that somehow, similar to aliens, have that, ability to taste wines. I didn't think it's something you can learn. And I was fascinated by the idea, so I went to wine tasting. And then I saw that you could also learn how to make wine. So that year I also learned how to make wine.
Who taught you?
My initial wine tasting with the Barry Saslov. And my wine making course was in Yaakov Sorek, which is a house for a lot of wineries that developed from there.
Really?
Yeah.
And who's the winemaker there?
Barry Saslov was the person that founded the school, but then they separated. And Nir Shacham is a winemaker, and he educated many, 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 many people that eventually opened wineries. And he taught them how to make wine.
Wow.
Fascinating place.
But you weren't young at the time.
No, I was already married with 4 kids, and that's around the amount of knowledge I was able to get.
Wow. You were born in Israel?
No, I was born in the United States, in New York, and I moved to Israel when I was 5 years old with my parents.
And then you came back to the States for a bit?
And I grew up in Bnei Brak, and then I went to the army, and then I came back to the States for a bit, and then I got married. Then went back to Israel.
Wow. And so after you learn winemaking, what do?
I took 2 years, two courses. 1 year was just to make a jug of 25 liters, which it's a very good school because they teach you everything you need to know on those 25 liters about following the maturation of grapes and processing the wine and mixing and all the analysis that you need to do. So it was a good school. The second year, I rented a plot and I did a whole barrel and I did all the treatments from the winter pruning by myself. And the third year, I already opened a winery. 2006.
2006, and what was that winery?
It was called Asif. It didn't last long. It lasted for like 5-6 years. The first year, the idea was to buy raw wines from wineries and make my own blends, which was fascinating, but had no future. You can't. There was no ability to create any consistency with the product, because sometimes you could buy Merlot, sometimes you buy Syrah. To be able to make any kind of consistency of quality, of grape type, of anything was impossible. So it only lasted 1 year.
It's fun because it's whatever's in the fridge, and you make a Cholent or a Dafina.
Yeah,
it's basically when you're working with the court.
Not exactly. I used to go into wineries and taste barrels, and I was able to remember the flavor and think that will blend good with the barrel that I tasted in that winery. Wow. And I was able to put in a blend in my mind and then buy them and actually do it.
And why were the wineries willing to give you those barrels?
Well, all wineries have a cash flow problem. So there's 3 categories of wine. There's wines that I want to buy, but they don't want to sell. There's wines that they want to sell, but I don't want to buy. And there's in between the medium range that they're willing to sell and I'm willing to buy. And if you're able to come up with a good idea of what's available and a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and put together something that creates something good.
So you're going around and you go to one winery, you taste the barrel, another one, oh, that could be an amazing blend.
Yeah, that's how it was. I learned a lot from there. It was fascinating, but I couldn't continue. And the year afterwards, Barry Saslov was making a kosher run. The winery was not kosher, but he had a kosher wine that was making by Carmel. It's called K by Saslov. And the head winemaker of Carmel changed. And he didn't get along so well with the new winemaker. And he told, if you open a production facility, then I will make my kosher wine with you. So that's what I did. I opened a facility, and the year after being actually a negociant, I was buying wines and making my own blends. So I lasted 1 year as a negociant, and then I became a producer.
And what was the name of that winery?
It was Asif.
Oh, Asif, okay. And then what happens? Asif closes.
In Asif, I had a playground to learn how to make wine. As I explained before, I didn't know a lot, and there was a limit of how much you could fall on colleagues and ask them questions. So eventually, if you don't know something, try it and see what happens. So I learned a lot in that.
Expensive learning.
No, I didn't throw away wines. It just. And also, if you have your common sense, you don't do experiments on large scale. You do it on a small scale, you learn. So it wasn't throwing away money, but it took me into places that I'm not sure every person that learns wine in the regular path touches.
Right.
And so eventually, we didn't know how to run a business. We didn't know how to sell wine, but I learned how to make wine. So when we closed, I got a job at Psagot.
How old was Psagot at the time?
11. But I was the first winemaker. They were 11 years without a winemaker. And then they decided, because they're growing and they had quality control issues, and they had style management, which means there was no identity behind the label. You could have at the time the top wine was Edom. So 1 year Edom could be a bright red 11% alcohol wine, and the next year it could be 16% Merlot, and it's their best wine from that vintage, but it was not really helpful for a consumer to know what is behind the label.
Right.
I think that's one of the main roles or responsibilities of a winemaker, is to determine style, quality control, and determine style. It's really what we do. So I was able to do that at Psagot, and I was there till they were planning to grow beyond my strengths. I mean, I don't think I'm a big manager. As a winery becomes bigger, it's more a lot of management takes part of your considerations. Right. When you're small, it could be pure winemaking. The bigger you get, the winemaking has to consider logistics.
So you were making all their wines?
Yeah, I was a winemaker for 6 years. 6 harvests.
Did you introduce any new wines?
Yeah, I invented the peak. I invented it. I wanted the dome to be a Bordeaux blend and not all over the place. It's part of the style determination.
Right.
And
It's a Burgundy, really. Like it's a Burgundy style, the peak.
the peak is South France.
Right.
So it doesn't have Pinot Noir, but it does have Petit Syrah and Mourvèdre and Syrah.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing that happened when I came to Psagot, they actually had a decision to stop making white wines. The year before I came started 2014. After 2013, they decided they're stopping their white wines. It's not what they want to do. And I like white wines, so
You like white wines.
I reintroduced the white wines of Psagot to the market.
Yeah. So you were there for 6 years.
I was there for 6 years, and then I requested to leave, and I was planning to, enlarge my private label and just do that.
When did you start the private label?
I started the private label at the last year of Asif. Asif was not able to make wine in its last year. We had inventory that we didn't know how to sell, so we took a consultant, and he told us, you can't buy grapes because you can't pay for them. You have to sell what you have, and then eventually maybe just go back to producing. And I didn't want to miss a harvest. So the winery owed me a lot of money because it didn't take my salary, because the winery couldn't pay me my salary. So I used part of the debt as a service winery, as if I was a customer of the winery. I was using what that winery owed me to pay for the production. And I sold futures. I sold wines, actually grapes that were not harvested yet, as a future wine. And I made the Chalom Ba'Spamia. And I actually sold the wines in cash. And I sold enough wines to buy the grapes and pay for the gas going to pick them up. I borrowed a car from a friend. And eventually I made more than I was able to make more than what I actually buying the grapes needed, so I had some left. You come to Israel, I'll taste them with you. 2011, they're doing great.
Wow. That's the Chalom Ba'Spamia 11.
Yeah, the first one.
Wow.
I just tasted it last week, 2 weeks ago.
I love the Chalom Ba'Spamia. We had the 23 tonight, and it's just incredible.
It speaks the language of Rioja.
It also speaks the language of Mediterranean terroir, which is what Israel really is.
That's true. There's, again, I don't know if it's style or Mediterranean grapes or the climate, but it's definitely a part of my inner belief that a wine is not there to challenge you.
Yeah.
It's just simply drinkable and flavorful and enjoyable.
You like using Mediterranean grapes. I really appreciate that. I think that it's really being in touch with the climate, and
it's being in touch with the climate. That's really what it is. It's just doing with what works.
Yeah. Like I think that a lot of these French grapes, they're fighting the Israeli climate. Like you can grow them, but it's a battle.
It's not only a battle, they're never at their prime. If you look at a Cabernet Sauvignon, as big as they could be when they're overripe in Israel, they're going to age for between 8 and 12 years. They're never going to reach a 30, 40-year aging ability that they have in Bordeaux.
Right.
They don't have the refinement. They don't have they're a little crude.
They don't even have the control.
True.
I think that control does a lot for French wine, and it's not in Israel at all.
It's not easy. I'm telling you from my perspective that I try to reach it. It's not easy because we have a lot of sun, and the sun makes the wines sweet.
Right.
Not sweet with sugar, sweet
Right.
with that sweetness. And the control that sometimes we were able to get is maintaining it within the sweet red cherry and not a date juice, and not something that's brown and raisiny. But it's not easy. It's really not. It's a lot of. You could work with canopy management. You could work with yields. Sometimes, if you have high yields, it ripens slower, so that could help. If you don't have direct sun, so the growing hormone of pyrazine won't be broken down as well, so it'll be a little more green and not so much black. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not simple. It's not that you say, okay, I want to do it that way, so that's what I'll do. It's not. It's a lot of trial and error and partial success.
Yeah, now see like some of these really like these Mediterranean grapes. The Chabas Pamia with the Tempranillo is a great example. How many people are making Tempranillo wine in Israel?
I don't know.
Not many.
I remember Binyamina and their lower series used to have one in Hayogev.
It wasn't anything. I'm saying a fine wine, one of the finer wines in Israel.
I don't know.
Right. My point exactly.
Actually, I don't know.
So you're 6 years at Sagot, and then what happens? So you leave Sagot and you go.
I think Yaakov Berg appreciated my request because he also knew that I'm not a big manager. You know, it's not my strength. And I helped him find a replacement, Sam Soroka. And I was planning, as I said, to expand my brand, and that would be, just do that. And then I met the Pinto family. And the Pinto family, first of all, inspired me because people that with a vision and wanted to make good. It's a family that did good. They started a non-profitable organization to help high schools in the peripheral Israel. That all the resources go to the student and not to management and not to overhead and not to losses. And it was it is a big success, but the pilot was in Yerucham, and they got involved in Yerucham. And they wanted to follow Ben Gurion's vision of making the Negev green. So they made a plantation of argan trees, Moroccan oil. And the one in Sde Boker succeeded, and the one in Yerucham did not succeed, and then they didn't know what to do. They have this plot, so then they decided to grow a vineyard. And then they decided if they're already growing a vineyard, may as well look some wine. And I met them really literally 2 weeks after I told Psagot that I want to leave.
Wow.
And the reason they met me is because they had in mind to open a winery, and they wanted to make their high-end wines in my service winery that I was running. So eventually, when they open a winery, they'll have ready wines to sell.
The Yaacov Oryah brand was not a custom crush; it had its own winery.
It managed a custom crush.
Okay.
I was not making my wines in Psagot. I was Livnei Winery, and I was the manager of the winery. I was a customer of the winery, and there were other customers as well. So they wanted to make their initial wines within that setup, and then they heard that leaving Psagot, so they just made their plans a little bit earlier, and they started to produce that year. They started to make white wines in 2020.
Did Nana exist already? Were there other wineries in the Negev?
Nana existed, yes. Nana first yields were in 2009. And Ramat Negev existed for even before that.
Right.
Sometimes 2004, 2003, they founded the winery. So they existed, but so what?
Right. I can tell you, I didn't know Nana until I knew Pinto.
Oh.
Like I don't think people were noticing Negev wines at that time. I mean, maybe at least that's my own experience.
Negev is an extreme environment, really. It's close to the equator. The radiation there is stronger. There's no vegetation or black soil, and the soil is almost white. So there's also returning radiation. It goes down to the soil and comes up towards the grapes from the bottom. The soil is salty because it's under an ancient sea. There's other places that were under that sea, the Tethys Sea. But other places it rains, so it washed away the salt. Here it doesn't rain, so we have salt for thousands of years. And the soil itself is extremely poor. And it's also clay, so when it rains, it seals itself off and nothing penetrates. It's challenging.
It's got to be absolutely insane.
But the advantage is you get a distinct wine. You see, in a world where terroir is being bypassed constantly by science, whether it's in the vineyard or in the winemaking process, and we're learning to overcome restrictions and drawbacks. So you could say that the wines of the world are slowly becoming more and more like each other.
Right.
Like the wine, a Cabernet from Chile, a Cabernet from California, and a Cabernet from Israel, and a Cabernet from Australia. And the high-end wines, you'll definitely find distinctions, and the low-end wines you won't. They're pretty much the same. And if you have a distinct, harsh, extreme environment, it will leave a fingerprint or a footprint. It's not a fingerprint. It stamps and it says, "I'm here." And I find it fascinating. I find it challenging. First of all, it's not doing the same thing every year. It's really figuring it out. It's easy relatively to make white wines in the Negev because you want acidity, and the grapes ripen very fast, and you have a lot of acidity because it doesn't crash. It ripens before it crashes, so it's great. But it's very problematic to put an unripe skin into a fermentation, which you do with red wines. So it's a whole challenge.
That you're doing varietal wines, to me, is really incredible. The Malbec, the Grenache, the Malbec especially. I think that...
I love it. It's so spicy and light and enjoyable. Yeah, it's not Argentinian and it's not French. It's just Negev.
It's totally unique. Totally.
It is.
It also... I don't know very many other Malbecs in Israel that do really well because I guess it's such a... Malbecs do well in those kind of crazy climates, like the Negev.
Well, I don't know how to compare, but one of the reasons we planted Malbec is because we saw that in other vineyards it does well.
Yeah. I mean, I think South America is a good example of that. Like, there's also all these different climates there, and it does well there. And I don't know if in the north,
good point. And then they're made, but they're not outstanding.
They're not. You don't get that acidity like that Malbec
And the spice.
Yeah, the spice.
Bright red fruit and spice. That's what Pinto Malbec is.
Yeah.
It's just vibrant. It's almost with electricity in it.
Yeah.
We also have a Shiraz, but it's not brought. I don't think it's brought here to America. Nice Shiraz.
Really?
Yeah.
Fighty?
I didn't know how to describe it. It's meaty and vibrant and red fruit. It's again, that's the advantage and the disadvantage of being in the Negev. You get something different.
Right.
And it's distinct, and sometimes it's an advantage because you're not like everybody else, and sometimes people don't know what you're doing. Like, what is this?
Right. So now you're doing the Pinto and you're doing your own label.
Yes.
So I want to talk about, we had 9 of your wines from your label. We have a couple here. I'll give you the choice of what you like to talk about and open and...
Well, let's talk about 2 reds. Okay?
Yeah, I love that.
They're both blends. They're both, put them that way to the camera.
Yeah.
They're both...
Let's taste them.
Let's say an introduction that they're both curiosity. They're both curiosity to see what story of foreign stories happen when they're told in an Israeli environment.
Right. To me, when I see a Dream of Espamia, a Tempranillo Grenache Carignan, I think it's a Tempranillo Grenache Carnino. Like, I think of Rioja right away.
That's what it is. It's not Rioja, but it's have Rioja in mind.
Right.
And it's never going to be Rioja, and I'm not trying to make a Rioja, but it's curious. I'm curious to see how the Rioja plays its characters playing their game or their role in a different environment.
Right. Eastern Mediterranean, Western Mediterranean. Like you get
The two ends of it.
yeah.
And the Duc Motif is actually an historical wine from the cold years of Burgundy, when the Pinot didn't ripen before global warming, and they would bring grapes from the Rhone to blend with the Pinot so that people could drink them. And again, it's not local today, but it's an historical locality. It's tasting.
Do you still like Burgundies?
I love Burgundies. I work with Pinot Noir. I work with it from 2011.
Yeah.
Only 3 times I found it worthy of bottling as a Pinot. And Be'ezrat Hashem in not next year, not 2027, I'm going to have a new plot in Ramat HaGolan with a lot of Pinot. So it's going to grow.
So,
but usually I make it and I get all excited. Oh, I have a Pinot, and then it's almost there, and it goes into the Duke.
right. So, because you haven't done a varietal Pinot that I know.
3 times.
Oh, you have?
The black pine cone.
Oh, the pine cone. Right. The black pine cone.
That's a literal translation of the word Pinot Noir. It's
Right.
black pine cone.
Right. Yeah, actually, we just had the black pine cone.
Yeah.
We were planning. We decided not to go with it, but
Yeah.
it was yum.
What's the story behind the label on the Duke Pontiff? Who is that?
It's an historical, non-existent figure.
I love him. Oh.
You did. You were talking about
Right away. It was one of my favorites.
Who does your artwork?
A friend of mine. He doesn't do labels as a job. He's doing it as a favor because he's a friend. He was a friend of mine from the army. He was actually my officer, and we stayed friends. And he does my labels.
They're great.
He hand draws them.
I don't know if he does it by hand or by computer. He does it.
So you're really going after a Burgundy with Duke Pontiff. That's what you're.
No. I can't even attempt to say that. I mean, I can't even attempt to do that because a Burgundy would be Pinot. And from start, I'm adding here Grenache and Syrah, which by definition are not going to allow me to be Pinot. But there was a reason why they blended then Grenache Syrah into Pinot, because the Pinot was lacking. But then, historically, because of climate, because it's too cold and it didn't ripen. In Israel, our Pinot is lacking also, for other reasons, the opposite, because it's very hot, and the Pinot does not perform very well in heat, and it doesn't give its full Pinot. So if you want to have a base Pinot, but with the chizuk,
Right.
so you get the Grenache Syrah, and it has to be a Pinot character. I mean, I don't want to put it at 25% Pinot. I wanted to maintain some aspects of the Pinot Noir, which is the silkiness and the red fruit and the bright red fruit and the good acidity, but with a little filling that the Grenache Syrah could give it.
Yeah.
So it's not meant to be a Pinot. It's meant to be what a Pinot in distress needs.
A Pinot in distress. I love that term. L'chaim. I think it's a new farbrengen. We have to make a new bracha. I will. Baruch atah Adonai l'chaim bracha. It's been open a little while. It's been open. When we first opened it, it was more acidic. Like it's calmed down over the course of the evening.
Yeah, it's young, but it has. It's full on all the layers. It doesn't have any holes in it. It has great acidity.
Mm-hmm. Does no, very much so. But it was very acidic when I first opened it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Not Hasidic. Not Hasidic.
I mean, right after we tasted the Duke Pontiff, my head went straight to pomegranate. Because you get that juiciness, you get that fruitiness, you get that mouthfeel that like kind of dries
A little
out.
tartness and dryness, yeah.
It was like, I was asking for pomegranate.
You could say it's pomegranate and blueberries.
Yeah.
You were thinking of a dish, but you ended up not pairing it.
No, we had pomegranate.
No, we had pomegranate, but we ended up not. This is one of the wines that we just served without pairing.
Yeah. No, because I think they're just as far. You have to take all the wines into account with the pairing, right? You want to give people that full experience. And I think there were just so many other, like, game changers as far as the flavor profiles. This is incredibly delicious.
Yeah.
But I think that some of the other ones were just like, you needed to highlight them. They just needed to be shown. They needed to be spoken about.
It's not only a fine wine, it's a fine wine. Like, it's very fine in its nature.
My son, Ephraim, he left his job as a nurse in intensive care, and he came to be my assistant. And I'm quoting him to say that what he likes in my wines, and the more, is their quietness.
Yeah.
And he says the more a wine is quiet, the more he likes it.
Yeah.
And I think
agree.
that's what you're describing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, we were talking about this, and I so agree with this, is that these wines are made to be paired because it's quiet and there's a lot of space for another flavor.
It's not diluted in any way. It's not missing anything, but it's quiet.
Yeah. It's really incredible. It's really incredible. Any interesting notes that come out? Like, it's very the minerality is really strong.
The minerality is strong. There's cherries here.
Yeah.
There's pomegranate. There's blueberries. But to me, it's not the notes. It's the texture.
Right.
There's something full and silky at the same time.
Full and silky. That's a great terminology. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's so easy.
Yeah.
You know, we talk a lot in wine about notes. And I think one of the things that I focus on the most is texture. Yeah. Because I could do very little about notes. You know, if nature, that terroir gives it an apple or a pear or a pineapple, what can I do about that? I mean, but texture is my responsibility as a winemaker to make a wine that's structured well.
And how do you do that?
Yield, harvest, exposure in the vineyard, harvest date, levels of temperature of fermentation, levels of pressing when I press, and barrel management. And it's not intervention in any way, it's just respecting the consumer.
Right.
You could extract so much more. You could squeeze it. But why?
The Jews, come on, we squeeze everything so there's nothing left.
You could get more ripeness. You could get more extraction. You could get more tannin. Yeah. But hold yourself back and get a wine that's a beverage.
Yeah, I agree. It's very easy to say that when, but when there's obviously cost you don't grow your own grapes, right?
I have my own contracts.
Which means that you have to take whatever...
I commit to buy whatever comes out of the vineyard, and they commit to grow according to my instructions.
And what would your instruction be different than, let's say, what they would do without you?
Canopy management. I like green notes in my white wines. I don't want tropical fruits. Yields, not necessarily low, not necessarily high. It's something that I can't say in advance. Sometimes you taste the wine and you say, this is too. What I had last year was too high. Next year I'll do it a little lower.
So they're going to prune the vines differently.
Yes, but that's why I have to work with the same vineyard year after year, because I can only I could start off with some kind of standard, just to start from somewhere. And then some grapes, I'm going to realize that has to be more concentrated.
Right.
And some grapes, on the contrary, they didn't give enough flavor, and I want them to be longer on the vine, so I'll maybe increase the yield to give them more vine time. I don't know. It's just a matter of learning your vineyard. And you have to have consistent vineyards to do real winemaking.
Yeah. It's amazing. So in order for you to have that control, you have to commit to whatever comes out.
Right.
And sometimes it's not what you can use.
Sometimes you use it in a different way. Yeah, but sometimes you can't use it.
Is there waste?
Yeah, there's waste. Try to minimize it. Sometimes just select when it arrives, or ask them to. Sometimes you get 60% of what you planned you'll have, but they harvest only the grapes that are good.
Right.
Let's say there was a heat wave, and a lot of clusters shriveled.
Which can happen in Israel.
It happens.
Right.
And if I take my yield, I'm going to have jammy flavors and raisin flavors, and I don't want that. So I'll pay the price of quantity to get the quality, and I'll lose third or half of the grapes.
You're hand-picking those grapes.
Oh, everything's hand-picked.
Wow.
But that allows me to select.
It's interesting because I've liked the Duke Pontiff. I've had it, the 21. More recently, I've had quite a bit of it. And this is much more vivacious. Like I could see, this is a much better yield.
Yeah.
This 23 that we're having now.
In 21, you have more tannins.
Yeah.
And for me, the idea behind the Duke Pontiff, talking about the silkiness, this is a better structure.
Yeah.
Go to the Chalom Baspamia?
Yeah, let's go to the home. You guys going? Okay. Thank you. So this is your first wine, so obviously you're most proud of it because it's how you started.
I wouldn't say proud of it. I'm saying definitely sentimentally attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like Spanish wines. So the first time I saw it, before we ever had a conversation, I'm like, oh wow, this is a Spanish blend from Israel. That's amazing.
Yeah, I like Spanish wines too. I like Rioja a lot.
I like going to Mondstadt and to Priorat, and there's some great kosher wineries there now.
Yes.
Or wineries that do kosher runs as well. And just going there, I mean, just wine country there, it's just breathtaking.
The Carino Grande is a Spanish blend.
Right.
Because they both are originated in Spain. Also the Grenache and also the Carignan.
Right.
Aragon, that land strip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when are we planning the trip?
Yeah, exactly. To Israel?
Yeah.
We have to go. Now that we're going to open up a
branch.
No, we're opening up a 2011 Dream of Espamia. That was a promise. Now everyone's going to know. They're going to be like, when are we coming with you?
No, I'm serious. We're ready to organize a tour.
Yeah, that would be great to go to Israel.
I'm down.
I think a lot of people who are going to be watching this are going to say, when are we coming? You may get a little group.
I'll be happy to host. Yeah. Really. Have some
yes.
Chalom Baspamia.
I love these names. Chalom Baspamia sounds much better than a Dream of Espamia.
That's true.
No, the Duke Pontiff was, as far as names, was the first one right away. I was like, I like this guy. I have no idea what this means. Cool character.
It's Israeli wine.
What is this? But
who would ever think of putting such a Christian flavor on Israeli wine?
Do you put thought into the labels? Is that something?
Not into labels, into names. I really think the name of the wine should represent what it is. and I tried to find a name that will describe the wine.
Join us if you want.
Just for a minute.
Take off your coat.
Yeah.
For example, you're talking about the Duke Pontiff. It's talking about geography. The Duke is Burgundy, which was an independent duchy for centuries. And the Pontiff is the region that gave us GSM, Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre, the Chateau Neuf du Pape. Chateau Neuf du Pape, which means the new estate of the Pope, the Holy Father. So that's the Pontiff.
How do you feel about Chateauneuf du Pape that's kosher now? Few people laugh at it.
Why?
Because Chateauneuf du Pape is kosher.
It's a region, it's geography. That's what I put on a label, and there's nothing Christian about it. It's just geography. It's geography and history.
This is my favorite name.
Melchizedek.
Oh, we'll get to it too.
Oh, we'll get to Melchizedek.
Yeah.
We have to get to we have a lot to talk about with the Melchizedek because skin maturation and so you're really true. So you're trying to create a Spanish blend here. That's really your goal.
Not really. It's because I like Spanish wines and because I love Rioja. I want to play with Rioja. But I don't want to make a Rioja. I want to make my wine, my Israeli wine, with the expressions that they have here. It's as if cousins. They're not brothers.
Right.
But they speak the same background.
East, west.
And it's just fascinating to me. And I never tried to make a Rioja. I just take over the years what this grape gives me in Israel and try to refine it. I taste it now. I don't really think it's a Rioja.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
No, it's an Israeli expression. I'd love to talk about actually for a moment what it's like dealing with making wine in Israel, like in the Holy Land.
You have to elaborate your question because for me it's my everyday.
Yeah, that's a good point. It seems to me awe-inspiring. Is it awe-inspiring to you that you are the terroir is not just any place? You're not making wine in just some random European place or in some other, people make great wine in California and they make great wine in Italy and Spain and France, but this is...
I'll answer in a more elaborate answer. You could refer to that on a spiritual level. We're back in our Holy Land and we're making wine and all that. And from a winemaker's point of view, it even upsets me because I want the wine to tell the story. I want us to be able, as an industry, to make wines good enough, impressive enough, quality enough, structured enough, that we will stand on our own merits and not because of a background. And I could be very happy about their background, but I don't want to use that as part of my story. I want the wines to stand by themselves. I want to make great wines in Israel, and I want the wines to be great because they're great and not because they're coming from Israel.
Yeah,
that's an aspect that it's more of a purist approach to wine. To really be able to complete what you're saying, that we're making great wines in Israel, you have to ignore Israel and focus on great wines.
What you're saying is very powerful because there's a lot of people who drink Israeli wine because it's Israeli wine. And some people, especially since October 7th, only buy Israeli wine because if we're anyway making Kiddush with it, we might as well support Israel. And I'm a big fan of that.
I'm a big fan of that too. But that's something else. We have a challenging environment and a difficult economy. And I'm very happy that people buy Israeli wines that support our industry. I'm all for that. But when you're talking about wine, if you really want to make great Israeli wine, then don't talk about Israeli wine. Talk about great wine. Don't put the spirituality as part of the story because as if you don't have to reach greatness because you're great by the fact that you're adding the spiritual aspect because we're returning to our land, etc. So if you really want to make great wines on a spiritual level, ignore the spiritual level and just make great wines. That's on one level. On another level, because my palate developed in refined Burgundy wines, and because the climate does not give easily such wines, I found my whole career challenging the climate, challenging the terroir. That means it has to do with what I said a minute ago. I want to be able to create great wines without the limitations of the hot climate, of the terroir of Israel. And I come up with ideas like the Emmy series, which philosophically, I don't know if it's super terroir because it's extracting all the flavors that one tiny plot has, or it's not terroir because I'm so interventional and taking out so many, by methodology, extracting different things, and I'm doing that. Is that natural? Is that not natural?
Right.
I don't know.
You call it Emmy like multiple expressions because you're taking out all the different flavors from the terroir.
Right. By different harvest dates and by different canopy managements and by different methodology of fermentation, everyone gives a different profile of the same potential. It brings out a different potential from the same pool.
Wow. I mean, that Chardonnay that we had tonight, that Emmy Chardonnay,
So good.
it's so good. When my wife had it, I have it on video. When my wife had it for the first time, she started tearing
I
up.
love this. And then she went away. She went upstairs.
She's like, I'm done.
I said, I'm done. I don't need anything else. We still had another 7 wines to go that night. We were there till 3 a.m. drinking wine and, tasting and whatever. And she's, I'm good. Chardonnay, that's it. It's amazing.
I've never seen a wine bring somebody to tears. It's a beautiful wine.
So is that terroir or not terroir? On one hand, I'm fighting the terroir. On the other hand, I'm super extracting from the terroir.
Thank you.
I'm extracting all the potentials from the terroir. I don't know what to say.
It's good wine, and I think that's what you're saying. And look, there must be, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there must be bracha. Like there has to be some kind of blessing in the fact that you're working in the holy terroir.
I don't think I would be able to do what I would do if I'd be in California or Portugal. I wouldn't have the drive. I think the drive behind what I'm doing, is that I want to make great wines in Israel.
Right.
I don't give myself cut slack, or I don't know what the term is.
Right.
And he would say, give yourself a discount. I don't give myself discounts because it's a spiritual wine. That's what I was saying before. I don't want those discounts. I don't want it to be great because it's holy. I really want it to be good, but I want it to be Israeli good. I'm focusing on making. I'm not using the word greatness as an achievement, but as a goal. I'm trying to make great wines in Israel.
You make so many wines. We had 9 wines of yours tonight, but it's not even half of your portfolio.
No.
Is there one wine or a vintage that, if I say this is a great wine, that pops into your mind that you know? Like one that say, wow, this is one that if I can get my hands on this one, makes me proud.
Yeah. When I was in Asif, I was starting to focus more and more on white wines. So I realized at the time, of 2009, 2007, all the white wines in Israel were mostly Chardonnay, mostly oaked. 2007 started to appear some unoaked, a little bit Sauvignon Blanc, and a little bit Gewürztraminer. And I thought to myself that if I'm going to focus on white wines, I have to have some special wines. So that's when I decided to make an orange wine, just a special white. And then I heard the story about Hunter Valley Semillon. And I never tasted the wine, but it was a great story. It's a story about Tyrell's Semillon vineyard in Hunter Valley. That the grapes, because it's hot and humid, the grapes would rot. And to avoid rotting, they harvested before time. And since Semyon is pretty bland and almost neutral in flavor to begin with, so you harvest it underripe, it has nothing. It's just water and acid and a little bit of alcohol. So obviously nobody bought it. And then, like an ugly duckling, after 5 years, it became beautiful. So it became a style where you harvest too early and you wait 5 years and you release it when it's 5 and it's marvelous. So in 2009, I decided I'm going to make a Hunter Valley Semyon. And it took 7 years, not 5. And I have very few bottles left, but it's, we're how many years passed since then? 15? 17?
Yeah.
17.
Generation.
It's doing great. I had a tasting of Semyon's, I think I brought my last bottle a month ago. It's just doing great.
Wow.
I started to reproduce it in 2017.
That's your Hunter Valley?
I call it Valley of Hunters.
Valley of Hunters.
Nobody would think it's from Australia.
Yeah.
But it's Emek HaTzayadim. Yeah.
That's so funny.
That wine surprised me. Who would think?
You like whites. When I had your playground Chardonnay last year, and that, I'll tell you the truth. I'm one of those that say ABC, anything but Chardonnay. And so, but I tried it because I like to try wine, and I like to try. I know that you, and then it said playground, and your whole thing is a playground. So you're like, okay, I want to see, and it was fun. But this ME Chardonnay is a whole different level.
Well, the playground is an experiment.
Right.
And I realized, after the playground, I realized that's what I want to do when I grow up. So I planted vineyards to expand the ME series, 2026, Bezrat Hashem, to the Chardonnay and Viognier that we have right now. Chenin Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, and Semyon will join.
All varietals.
Varietal, single vineyard, multiple expressions.
Wow.
That's the whole idea.
Right. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is there's very little room for error there. Like, you can't use chemistry.
It's not chemistry. When you say ME, it's initials of multiple expression. But at the end, it's personal taste. There's another meaning of me is me.
I'm saying another in one of these blends, you can put a little more of this, a little less of this.
Oh, I have 20 components. I can do whatever I want.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Here I have only 5.
Oh, okay.
I get 20 components. I blend it like a tournament. I pair them up, blend, pair them up, and pair them up. And eventually, I end up with a blend of 3 components, 4 components, 5 components.
That's got to be so much fun. How much time does it take you to blend those?
The truth is, for blending, you have to be in the right state of mind.
I so agree.
I'm not every day in the right state of mind, and you run a winery, and the workers want to. What do we do today? And you can't tell them I'm not in the state of mind to make my blends. But that's the reality. So I don't know. Sometimes it takes me quick. Sometimes it just happens. I just know the answer. And sometimes I'm not satisfied, and I'm going to go back to it tomorrow and do it again until I'm okay. This is good.
Right. One of the things that's unique, I think, for you as a religious winemaker is that you can interact with those barrels. Where I think that some of the non-Jewish winemakers that are making kosher wine have a very hard time because
they could ask somebody to bring them samples.
Well, that's how they're making it. They're making it with samples, but it's not like interacting with the barrels where you have the barrel there and you can take the thief and just kind of see what happens.
I'll be honest. What you're describing is more romantic than reality.
Okay.
Because I also asked me to bring me samples because I want to sit in the lab with my samples and think about the blend. And I can't think about the blend with all the barrels and the thieves.
Okay, I have this whole romantic, romanticized version. Okay, and he's pulling a little bit out of here, and he's.
I gotta be honest. I wouldn't be able to work like that.
Right. It sounds fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's a great description.
If I had to write the scene for a novel or something, that's how I would write it.
Yeah, the truth is that the subject of kashrut and wines is a painful subject. because it puts a lot of Jews in the feeling that they are second class. And when it comes to wine, I think that's the only thing that matters. It's not the really ability to make wine or not make wine better or less good.
Yeah.
I think non-kosher wines, not religious winemakers can make great wines.
Yeah.
And touching, after a certain volume, I don't connect the pipes myself. I give instructions.
Right. Well, I think that's the point. When I go to some of these wineries that are not kosher with 2 kosher runs, they just say, okay, we have expensive winemakers. Instead of having some random person, we have some rabbi that's doing it. So it's a little more expensive for us. That's the way they see it. But look at tonight, for example. Right? We had all types of people. We had people that were extremely secular to people who were Hasidic. And I like the diversity of the Jewish community, whereas if you always speak to the highest common denominator, you end up getting everybody.
True. But halachically, it's not simple.
Right.
And there's a big clarity of putting people in the feeling of secondary Jews. It's din moridim. It's not by mistake. It's not by accident. It's the idea of making them feel they're secondary.
And wine is much more complicated than other foods or beverages because it has other elements to it.
Because of?
Because it has other elements to it.
What do you mean?
The issue of avodat kochavim or.
But if you really explore the halacha, at least to the best of I'm not a posek and I don't presume to be, but to the best of my understanding, it's not a simple thing to say that not a secular Jew that touches wine is simple to say that it's a problem.
I serve.
It's a complex saying.
I'll just tell you, I can speak for myself. I have most of my table on a Shabbat Friday night is not religious per se. Let's say what you call secular, and I mostly serve non-Mavusha wine to my table. I mean, there's a whole different conversation about Mavusha versus non-Mavusha, and I don't think we had one Mavusha wine here tonight.
No.
Do you have a Mavusha wine?
No.
Right. And so we had people here that were not religious. The way we get around it in an environment like this, which I think is very common, is that, and I do this at my table also.
You and I serve.
You and I served tonight. Nobody had a problem. The religious people didn't have a problem. The secular people, they're served. It's part of the evening. And I always say, if you're a guest in my home, I'm serving you. And that's it.
That's good.
and nobody says two things about it, and that's how we get around it. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong.
I'm not a posek. I just know that it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
There's crowds in Israel that it hurts them.
I understand that. Especially, there's a lot of winemakers in Israel that are not religious.
Yes, but it bothers them not on a technical level of going ahead and playing with the thief in the barrel, but more on a spiritual level that they feel that they're required to get married in the Rabbanut and get divorced in the Rabbanut and be buried in a religious ceremony, but they can't touch wine.
But you don't like me. Exactly.
It hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that. And I mean, obviously, you and I are not making the rules and we're not changing the rules.
That's right.
So
That's right.
we could talk about it and we could lament about it, but there's not much that we can do about it.
That's true.
This is a beautiful wine. I like Spanish wine, so this is just me.
I finished my glass, but I'll join you.
What are the notes that you get in this?
Well, this is a very young vintage. In Israel, I'm still working with 22. I just didn't send it here because of Shemitah. What fascinates me that does talk the Rioja language is that when it ages a little bit, you get the leather.
Leather, exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. You have plum and leather.
It's also tannic.
I would say it's more tannic than a Spanish wine.
Yes.
Spanish wine is more acid and less tannin, or at least their tannins are more refined.
Yeah. But I think that's true of a Tempranillo in general. What's interesting about some of these Grenache Carignan, let's say from Mondstadt or from Priorat, is that the terroir there is clay and slate. So you're getting like that minerality where you don't have that same minerality here.
No, you don't have it here.
Yeah.
That's right. I planted a vineyard this year, 2025, for all my red wines that are scattered to be in the Ramat HaGolan. And it's on volcanic soil. And I don't know when I'm going to be going.
I'm excited.
All my reds are going to become from one single vineyard now. All of them, all the what I need for Chalon Bas Family, what I need for the Duke, everything. It's all going to be in one vineyard.
You have my blessing. The volcanic soil.
Volcanic.
It's just.
It's going to change my portfolio.
Yeah.
And I don't even know where it's going to go, but
We gotta keep up the tradition.
What's the truth?
Baguettes, crackers, something.
Yes, absolutely. But bring us food. We're hungry.
I'm starving. You guys all wined and dined today. I forgot to eat.
So eat something.
Amazonas, right?
Yeah. This homemade, all this homemade bread, the crackers are unbelievable.
What's this? Something spicy here. There's a tang to it.
Tomato powder.
Okay.
There's homemade tomato powder, and there's
Did you dehydrate tomatoes yourself?
and there's fennel pollen, and there's a little bit of salt,
What's up?
kosher salt. Yeah, and then it's brushed with garlic oil.
The person who you sent shopping said to me, I brought back kosher salt, and it wasn't that kosher salt. So apparently I heard that there are different levels of kosher salt.
It was very funny because most of the shopping is okay. Fine, I'll buy what you tell me. I'll buy what you tell me. He bought me one of the like Lior kosher salt, whatever, and I can't stand it. Whatever. That's not a separate podcast. My opinions on salt. And so he goes. So I said, you have to get this one from IGA. Fine. So he goes back and he gets it. And he sends me a message. It's like $21 for a box of salt. I was like, dude, we need salt. But no,
Apparently we need salt.
no, it didn't.
Somebody handpicked those
makes a difference.
kernels one by one.
It makes the difference.
Yes, I have a question. Do you have something spicy that we could add to this?
I'm sure there's something.
Some chili, some oil, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly where you were going.
What do you get here?
I mean, the tannins kind of are overtaking, but there is. The obvious blackberry. That's there. I mean, there's fruit, right? So you get like a little blackberry.
Get the sour cherry.
Sour cherry, exactly. I was thinking like over sour cherry almost.
There's real sour cherries that are used in the food industry. We don't eat them.
Right.
Called Vishinyak. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, we grow them here in Montreal.
Oh.
I actually have a Vizhnyak cherry tree in my backyard, and I make a liqueur with
Liqueur from it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, my father used to make cherry herring, so I continued his tradition. Oh,
They're gonna have to wait.
is it the morning in Israel already?
It's morning in Israel.
That's it. We've gotten to the point where it's morning in Israel. It's amazing.
Truth is, this wine, it's enjoyable, but its characteristics need time.
Yeah, I think this. What's interesting is, so I always say there are not many wines in Israel that I would wait 10 years for. Like I can count on one hand how many wines you can wait 10 years, and that it'll
Improve.
It'll improve.
A lot of them survive.
Yes.
I'm not sure how spicy you were going, but that stuff's got a kick.
Can I use one of your?
That's right. You can join us if you want. You can grab a glass. Yeah, we're still recording. Audio and video. Yeah, this will improve with age.
Exactly.
What do you think? Do you think you have 10 years, or it's more like 5 to 7? you have any of these Chalom Ba'asbamiyas that are older that you say like are 10 years old?
I told you that when you're going to come, I'm going to open you
the
11.
11. I really want to try it because, like I said, I really think there's not that many wines in Israel that you can age.
Better be on this trip.
What do you mean? You're making the food.
Oh, okay, good. Perfect.
What do you think? We're going to let Yaakov make the food?
The reason I wanted the chili is because our next wine has a characteristic that very few wines in the world have, and it's their ability to tolerate heat.
Yeah.
Now, usually the alcohol and the heat clash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's not too hot, but it's worth trying.
It's got a kick a little bit.
Okay, we got to try that. So, I really want to talk about these skin maturated wines.
Okay.
And we have the Melchizedek, but in general, this kind of idea of skin maturated wine. Can you explain to somebody who never heard of this before what it is?
Yeah, when we make white wines, we make white wine from the juice. It means we crush the wines, crush the grapes. Or don't crush the grapes, but in any case, crushed or uncrushed, they go to the press, we press them, we get juice, we throw away the skins, and the whole wine process is made with juice. And that's what makes white wines refined and elegant and light.
Right.
And even if they get oak and they get heavier, there's still something smooth about their texture. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can make a white wine with the skins. It's not just the skins, it's the pulp and the skins and the seed and everything that gives structure and fullness to a red wine. You will be getting the same thing in a white wine because the alcohol extracts tannin from the skin, from the seed, and you get a wine that the mouthfeel resembles a red wine, but it doesn't, because we harvest it earlier. We don't harvest it at 14, 13.5, 15% alcohol. We harvest it at 12 and 12.5. So they're more tart, they're more lean than a red wine. White wines are usually more acidic, so you can't really say that it's a red wine without color. It's a white wine with tannin.
Exactly. I had a lot of fun tonight, and I did this with Yossel as well when we first tasted it. When I walked around with the light from darkness, and I said, I have some trivia for you. And I named all of the grapes on the light from darkness, and I said, what color is this wine?
So that's actually the opposite. Exactly the opposite of the light from darkness is a red grape with a white wine process, and this is a white grape with a red wine process. It's really the mirror image.
Right. But to me, that's what makes your wine blows my mind, because you're literally making white wine from red grapes and red wine from white grapes to a certain extent. I mean, that's why. Like you just break all of the rules.
That's what I was talking about before. I didn't know the rules. I did grow up with rules. I didn't know.
You know that in most of the world,
I claim innocence.
in most of the world, wine is very controlled, right? You couldn't do this in France.
You couldn't put the name of the appellation if you don't follow the rules. You can do whatever you want, but you won't be able to sell the wine.
Correct. I mean, nobody's going to buy
it.
No one's going to buy a Bordeaux that's light from darkness.
Right. We have to do a rinse here.
Yeah.
So this is not for consuming.
This is just for rinsing. A lot of people don't know this, that the best way to rinse your glass is with the wine.
With the next wine.
The next wine.
We have a glass to pour it into.
And also, at the same time, get yourself a glass. You should join us.
Yeah.
Oh, he has one? Okay, good.
He's hiding.
Oh, good. He was hiding. Yeah, this is, to me, like, what blows my mind about all of your wines. And it's funny because I didn't even know you, and I saw these wines, I'm like, there's something different here. Something so different. I mean, and people expect these kind of large fruit earth cabs But that's what Israel has produced for all these years. I'm saying from the finer Israeli wines, they've always been these kind of large fruits, deeper earth, and you get that kind of mouthfeel. For some reason, I don't understand it. And actually, the wine world in general is against it. These kind of 5-pound bottles.
Yeah.
Like in the world outside of kosher wine, nobody's using 5-pound bottles anymore. They consider it
When it's empty, it feels full.
exactly. I think they're like leaded bottles.
Look, I don't presume or try to educate the public and tell them what's right and wrong.
Well, I do.
That's why we're sitting together.
Yeah,
But I am guided by curiosity, and I like to share the experience. I like to talk about it. I like to share. I'm very happy to do it.
yeah.
I'm very comfortable with people not liking it. You know,
Did
I'm a nice guy. You could like me and not like my wines.
people tell you that into your face tonight?
Very few. You know, people think they insult the winemaker if they don't like his wines. But, you know, I'm not the grape, and I'm not the yeast that turned it into wine. And I had my fun, and you can like it or not. And if everybody would like the same thing, I would only need one wine, right?
Right, exactly. Do you use natural yeast?
I used to, and I had to spill a few wines because of traits that made wines with VA, and I stopped.
And yeah, one of the things that we noticed right away is there's not a lot of barnyard funk in your wines. I think it's probably because of that.
Yeah, I make modern winemaking.
Yeah.
The yeast that we use are not GMO. They're just clones of natural yeast. So just natural yeast in a bag instead of natural yeast out of a bag. Okay,
Exactly.
let's talk about this for a minute.
So this is, would you call this an orange wine?
The orange wine term is derogatory. That means people from the wine world, the snobby wine world, refer to wines that oxidized and they said they're orange. And they were getting orange because they weren't using sulfites. And because they weren't using sulfites, the wine has a whole bunch of different aromas that are not coming from grapes.
They became really popular.
They have their funk on so many levels. So today, by the way, they learned how to make wine without sulfites controlled, and okay, it could be done. But at the time, the wines were just getting brown, and they were called orange wines. And so this is not, I'm careful not to call it orange wines, but to call it skin macerated white wines.
Yeah, I like that we say skin macerated, exactly.
Because it's really a modern winemaking with the input of skin. The skin of the grape,
Right.
just
So
add something.
You're making a white wine as you would a red wine.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the point that's what we're calling skin macerated. So we have 40% Viognier in this 2018 Melchizedek, or Melchizedek. We have 40% Viognier, we have 30% Roussanne, and then Semillon with 30%.
Okay, the Viognier gives spice, the Roussanne gives structure, and the Semillon gives ageability. That's the idea behind the blend. And this blend, besides being fermented each varietal separately and being blended afterwards, they also at that point go into a barrel.
So they all get fermented together.
No, these are not co-fermented. Each varietal is fermented. I have a wine, it's pressed. I make a blend, and then I put it in a barrel.
Well, one of the Hasidim here tonight noticed that the Hechsher was different on this one than the others.
Those guys were such a group.
They loved every minute of this. Where else are they going to get culture like this?
You realize what? I don't know if you saw.
I was so touched to hear them singing.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Really?
It's so beautiful.
Family nigun.
Yeah. Did they know that? Did they ask you that? That's why they started singing
That's why they started to sing it. They realized that they realized I'm Beresh's grandson.
Oh, wow. They were so proud of it.
Yeah, I was touched.
I don't know if you saw him. I was going around by some of the other tables, and one of them gets up and comes over. I think over here actually, and comes over, and says, "Hey, we want to talk to you too." She looks me over, and we started having a whole long conversation. Good bunch.
So, Rabbi Yisroel, talk to us about this wine.
Well,
I could talk a lot. I want to hear you.
this wine lives in a league of its own because I would call it a red lover's white.
Okay.
Because generally speaking, why don't I like a white? I don't like a white because I feel like it should be at the pool on a summer day.
Oh, that's sad to hear. Okay.
No, yes, I didn't mean it that way, but I meant like it's light and it's refreshing, and
It's not serious.
It's not serious.
Okay.
I like a serious wine. I like a complex wine. I like
white wine is like water to this guy.
It's not water. It's just it's like rosé. I don't understand. I don't understand rosé. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like it's just like if you make it a red or make it a white.
Make up your mind.
Somebody just kind of pulled the plug on a red wine halfway through and said, "Okay, let's try out and see what happens." So I want complexity. I want different flavors. I want it I want to have primary notes. I want to have tertiary notes. I want to be able to have some kind of lingering feel. So very often whites don't do that for me.
Okay.
So that's why I think this is a red lover's white. First of all, it's golden, right? I mean,
Right. It has a deeper hue to it, but it's not orange.
It's not orange. It's more. I would say it's a deep gold.
Yeah.
Right. That's we always try to name the color of a wine. That's part of the first thing we do when we taste a wine. I always teach the 5 S's of wine tasting. So the first thing we do is you want to name the color of the wine just so you can get a feel for it. You also then want to see the structure. There's different ways of looking at a structure of a wine, right? Sometimes you look at the legs of the wine, the way that it on the glass. I mean, there's other ways as well. So, so that's my first. So now I smell it. I'm picking up different notes as I would a red wine, right?
Is the fruit profile similar? That's what's tricky about these wines, because
I think this is the one that I said rhubarb. No?
You did say rhubarb initially, yeah, and I kind of pushed back on that. That's why we decided not to pair it. It's interesting that when we were doing the initial tasting, there's certain wines that right away we agreed on like certain pairings, and then there was wines that we said no way.
There's definitely like a unripeness in here. And to me, that's where like raw.
This is 12.5% alcohol.
It doesn't feel like it.
It's what he's saying. If you allow the grapes to be fully ripe, the alcohol content would be level, and you wouldn't have that. I wouldn't say green, because at this point it's not green, but that tartness about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's tart.
But on the other hand, that's what keeps the wine alive.
Right. No, for sure.
Would you? Well, first of all, it's an 18, so I just answered my own question. I said, "Would you age this?" But
Yes,
absolutely.
And it's not at the end of his days. It could go on.
It's not even. I would say not even close.
2014,
Young even.
Yeah.
2014 was doing great.
When did you release this?
I released this around a year ago.
You're talking about a 2018 wine that you've been sitting on for 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long was this in it's oaked, right? It's 1 year in oak. Yeah, because I can taste the oak, French oak.
French oak.
Yeah.
Not new, but after a round and white. I mean, it's a fermented white, took it out, put the oranges.
It was like a Sauvignon or
It was
Chardonnay.
probably a Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And it was like for 3 months, 4 months, just giving the initial aggressive kick of the oak. It was not into here, but it's there. It's a half new use.
Right.
Now, do you feel the creaminess of the wine?
Yeah. That was the next thing I was going to say. There's something very creamy about it. And so it's silky also.
Right.
It's silky creamy.
The tannins here are not biting. They're there. They're present.
They're
You feel
definitely
them in
there.
structure,
For sure.
but they don't bite you.
Again, like a Chardonnay would bite you right away. It would be right in your face. Where this is really smooth.
It's really smooth. That's what's surprising to me. Now let's try this. I hope we'll survive.
Okay. I'm Ashkenazi, remember?
Yeah, it's like Corona. It's like having murder at Leila
I don't know. I hang out with Moroccans here in Montreal, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like turning red, and my face is turning purple, and they're like, "What? This is like a regular Monday."
They're usually alcohol and heat clash.
Yeah.
They're unbearable together. It just intensifies the heat.
I would not have thought of putting this level of heat on your cracker. You see that? It's not Murr. It's not Pesach yet.
Not that bad.
Oh yeah?
Not bad.
Okay. It's Murr. Halayla Azeh. I see what you mean.
Now,
It mellows it out a little bit.
Yeah,
it does.
I understand that.
Now, this is red chili. I sat once with the chef in Tel Aviv, and I did this trick with him. And he said, "Wait a minute," and he got green chili. And green chili complemented the wine. This didn't clash. Green chili was a pairing already.
Yeah, it doesn't clash. It didn't.
Look, this is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a little spicy food.
It's not a flavorful chili. It's more of just like
it's a bite.
This is a kick, yeah.
I just brought it to illustrate because if you have Moroccan spicy fish on Friday night,
So good.
this would be the wine.
This is the wine. And it's interesting because I would go like my first thought would be more of a Columbus Family because it has that spiciness to it. But this is very complimentary.
That's what would work.
But that is a classic pairing. Like all the sommeliers and whatever, they always talk about like, oh, if you're getting your Asian takeout or whatever, after work, what are you drinking? And they always talk about the
Rioja.
the Rieslings,
Riesling.
like that type of this type of concept.
I find that Riesling don't clash, and orange wines or skin macerated wines
Compliment. Yeah.
It's amazing.
If you did continue by eating and you just have what's left in your mouth now it should work better.
That's what I was just going to say. It totally works better. And I'll tell you, earlier,
Now it's nice.
look, it's interesting to see what's left over from our tasting, right? A lot of the wines that we had tonight are gone. Like they were finished. And this one happens to be left over because I think it wasn't paired with anything and people didn't understand it.
I have an interesting perspective about that because I started to make skin macerated wines way before it became a trend. I started to make it in 2007, introduced it, made a commercial by 2010. It became a trend in the last, let's say, 7 years. And I was giving these wines to people that had no reference how to refer to them. And I found something interesting. People that knew nothing about wine, and they were at the stage of I like it or I don't like it, a lot of them liked it. People that had a background of wine, it's as if their brain didn't have a shelf where to categorize it. It's not white, it's not red, it's not rosé. It's just and they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
Conceptually, they couldn't deal with it. Today they could because today everybody tasted orange wines and it's part of the wine culture already.
No, but even I consider myself quite proficient when it comes to wine, and I didn't know what to do with it before. And now, having this and kind of sitting with it a little longer, I see its value. And we had it, we tasted it before. Like I've tasted this a few times now, and this is the first time I see that there's something more here.
How long is this macerated with the skins for?
2014, 15, 16, 17, I would make long macerations of around 2 months. And then I realized that the maceration itself has a common denominator. That means if you take a Chardonnay and you're macerated 2 months, and take a Chenin Blanc and macerated 2 months, you're tasting the maceration. There's something in the process that comes out that's stronger than the differentiation between Chardonnay and Chenin Blanc. And because I wanted to express the Alpha Omega, the series is called Alpha Omega, saying it's the whole grape from A to Z. It's all the alphabet. I felt that long macerations and the impact of the long macerations is masking the full story of each grape. Because I wanted to share the experience that you're familiar with Chardonnay, but you're really tasting the rosé of Chardonnay, right? And if you're tasting Chenin Blanc, you're tasting the rosé of Chenin Blanc, because you're, like you said before, you want to make Chardonnay, you want to make red wine, make red wine. So it's really Chardonnay. What we taste is half a story. It has a story of the juice. It's not the story of the full grape. So I started to make Alpha Omega, the whole grape, and then I realized that the Camptonator is masking the story of the varietal. So I cut the macerations shorter to be around 2-3 weeks, and then you have the story of the grape itself, the full story of the grape. And it's fascinating to taste Chenin Blanc, Chardonnay, varietal grapes that I make. They're not oaked, they're macerated, they're different than this. This is a blend, this is oaked, this is aged. And there you have varietal, unoaked, unaged. It's a different story.
Yeah.
But it's a story of the grape. By the way, I call this Melchizedek because the wine in 2014, 15, 16, and 17, the wine, this blend was called Alpha Omega as the name of a wine. And then my distributor said, and then I wanted to make varietals. So in 2017, I started varietals in the series of Alpha Omega, and then there's a wine called Alpha Omega. And my distributor said you can't have a wine and a series at the same name because of guys that collect the wines in the morning and take it to the restaurants and get confused. So I called it Melchizedek, which is the first of all, it's the first person that hosted with bread and wine, right? But the Torah describes him as Melchizedek Melech Shalem, right? So most Mefarshim say that Melech Shalem is Yerushalayim. But there's also a pairings of Yaacov Oryah that says Melech Shalem is Melech Hainava Shalem. It's the whole grape. It's not really partial for Melchizedek, but it works well.
What do we call it, Peter? The Raya?
The Rima. Anyway, it's a fun field. There's a following to it. Not a big crowd to it, but it stands its own merit. It has its place.
I was actually going to ask you that. Do you think that since you started, that there's a larger market now, like the kosher consumer is actually more interested in your wines than, like, look at tonight. Like, people were actually, I mean, was this unique for you tonight that people were so interested and so fascinated by the wines?
It depends what crowd I meet. A lot of times when I go to restaurants in Tel Aviv, it's people that know my wines, they like my wines, they come to the evening that I'm there because they want to meet the winemaker. Right. So it's not a revelation, it's more of a personal get together. But I actually love evenings like this. I love it because when I make wines, I make them out of curiosity, whether it's Or Me'ofel, or it's an orange wine, or it's a study of a historical solution for Burgundy. Whatever it is, I'm driven by curiosity. I don't think that I'm going to make here a mass market wine. I want to see what it tastes like, but then when I like it, I want to share it. And when I have the opportunity, the people that are interested and enjoy the experience, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. Was this tour your biggest tour yet?
Not the longest, but the most intense. Yes, I'm actually making events every night, and it's just focused on my portfolio, and it's
in different cities every night.
Different cities every night.
What have you learned? Because you're almost done with it, right? This is the end of the tour.
One more, and then I'm going home. What have I learned? It's a good question. I'll tell you what I learned. I learned that there's a lot of crowd out there that enjoys complexity, enjoys something different, enjoys a good story behind the wine, and they don't necessarily need those big cabs that we're talking about. But if you're not going to be there to intermediate that to them and offer it to them in a way that they could meet it, it's not going to happen.
Right. I've always thought that, and I remember when we first talked about this 3 years ago, I was saying, like, people need to meet you. People need to understand. This is wine that needs to be understood. It can't just be had.
Yeah. And to add to that, I don't think it's such a personal creation, and I don't think anybody could replace me in sharing what's behind it.
Yeah.
And I can't be everywhere, and I can't be every place. But if I want to share what I'm doing, I have to do it myself.
Yeah, definitely. Could you imagine having an evening of Yaacov Oryah's wine without Yaakov tonight? Like, let's say we just decided to do that.
Anybody?
I feel like it would just be lacking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here, drink something.
So what's your? We're gonna close this this episode. What's your takeaway? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts really about Canada. I'm really happy I came. I'm really happy I listened to you. You know, I told Victor that I'm coming to you. He said, come to me too.
Right.
So I said, I'll come to you too. and it's really a big part. Forget about the general public. It's a big part of the kosher world that is overlooked.
Yeah.
And you know, it's saying the obvious. Once you understand it, why didn't you think about that before? But I didn't. So thank you.
You're welcome. And an educated consumer.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's the crowd. Everybody here was interested, and they wanted to understand, and they were fascinated. And I was fascinated by this Hasidic group. That it's the last thing, the stereotype you would think that they would like it. There's a stereotype what we think what they would consume, and I met them, and the stereotype is right, and that's what they consume. But they were open, and they were fascinated, and they enjoyed it, and they come to me and said, you know, I didn't like the Carino Grana, but then I had it together with that the paste that you made. I said, then I like the wine.
Was it Nduja?
Ndua.
Ndua.
And then I tasted the wine. Then I understood the wine. And to hear that from them, you know, who would think?
You have to hear the Ndua was the conversation of the night. So somebody who was secular comes over to me and says,
that's what he told me.
And says to me, Rabbi, there's a problem here. Are you sure this event is kosher?
Well, it started first when you got questions about dairy.
Yeah, exactly. So the beginning of the night, I was getting questions about, like, how are we going to have meat tonight because of the yogurts that was served. No, it's soy. It was tofu.
It was
tofu.
No.
Yeah.
You made me eat tofu.
So that's how it started. Okay, fine. So this guy comes up to me, but he's like very concerned. He's like, Rabbi, are you sure? Are you 100% sure this event is kosher? And I said, I'm 100% sure this event is kosher. I checked everything that came in here. I know everything's kosher. He's like, I'm not here to confess. I'm like, you don't have to confess, but I eat pork. This is pork. So he was standing here, and one of the Hasidim was standing next to me because he was talking to me when the guy came over to me in a frenzy. So he looks at it. So anyway, so later I go over to the table, and he obviously went and told the story to all his friends over there.
They could taste pork.
And he's like, went to Chabad.
Finally, now there's kosher pork.
And they eat pork. The guy said it's for sure pork. It's amazing how things grow and they become like a whole other story all in its own. So they like, I think that. So I said, so what do you think? How was the pork? We're having this conversation, and I'm trying to keep a straight face, but they're all serious. Like, this guy was serious, and they were serious. It's quite something.
I'll just add to that my last project in Psagot was to make the jewel, which was meant to be that big, heavy cab for that kind of crowd. And in my mind, that's what I knew about them. And in Sukkot, we had a fair wine fair that I participated in. And I was genuinely surprised. It was a curated crowd. A curated crowd that I usually don't interact with, I don't meet. And there was a whole crowd of people that were tired with the same palate fatigue that I talk about, that they had it. They're not interested in the big wines. They don't want the heavy wines. They don't want the heavy cabs. My little stand there was drawing people to taste and to talk and to ask, and I found it here again tonight. It's people that are open and not stuck in anything, and they're able to appreciate, and it just has to be brought to them. If you bring it to them, they're part of it. If you don't bring it to them, they won't be part of it.
And outside of this, they have no other options. Like, it's not like outside of this, it's going to be those big bold calves. Outside of this, it's going to be, the foods that it tastes like. They came over to me. There's flavors tonight that they never had in their life. They never
really.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. It's impressive.
Yeah, quite a few people said to me tonight. I'm sure you got this also. People said there's flavors they never had in their life.
But think about it. The reality is that anyone who's not in the food or food-related, type business, they're going to steakhouses. Where else are they going?
Right.
You're eating short rib tacos. That's what you're getting. That and a steak.
There's the saying. I think it's related to our Rav Kook. They talk about Chamarov Shel Mashiach, and he's talking about the return to Israel, the Geulah. And if you look at the Rambam and people that were writing in the past, it said the material aspects of life are negative. We should be in the spiritual aspects of life. And I think it was Rav Kook that said that the fact that the Mashiach is on a chamor lavan,
Or a white donkey. Yeah.
A white donkey, it really means that the chomer becomes white.
Mm.
Not a chamor, it's chomer. Which means when you go back to your land and you're involved in economy and agriculture, you're dealing with chomer. You're not just in the galut and learning Torah.
Right.
So, but the chomer becomes lavan, and part of that idea of chomer becoming lavan is that Hashem gave us a palate, and He gave us delicious foods, and we make a bracha and we thank Him, and we enjoy Hashem's gift. And I don't know how much that's in the Jewish culture today. Of really enjoy what you do, enjoy what I do, in a positive way.
It's rare.
Everything is good. Everything is kosher. Everything is delicious, and that's how it should be. We should thank Hashem and enjoy the blessings that He gave us. And that's how it should be. And that's why I'm in a world of flavors and textures, and you're in a world of flavors and textures. And Baruch Hashem, we're able to share it with people that don't know that.
Right.
So thank you.
I'm in awe to be able to witness it. It was an incredible witnessing tonight.
It was a big night. It was a big night.
To be able to see that it just.
I mean, on a personal note, I mean, as you know, I'm just starting to my whole wine journey. I'm pretty aggressive about it. But,
I took him to KFWE and KWD as my guest. You know, so he got the
I've
tasted.
I've never been a reader. Like I never read my entire life. I hated reading. I cannot get out of a wine book now. Like my wife comes home from work, and I'm just sitting on the couch reading a wine book for hours, and then I go on to ChatGPT and I give it the chapters of the book, and I say, make me a 150 question test based off of those, and I take a test every day while I'm sitting.
Oh wow,
He's great.
Impressive.
Well, because it makes sense that this is the next stage of your food.
3 after Pesach. Go rolling.
You'll appreciate this. We got to KFWE, and he's like, "What should I do?" And I took him to the French table, and I said, "Go every single bottle, one by one. Just spend the next hour and a half here, and just go one by one every single bottle." So he had all of those like Saint-Emilions and the Burgundies and the Chateau Margaux.
The Burgundies was the first stop.
Yeah.
Those were good stuff right there.
Just like if you want to understand the gamut of wine, that's where you start.
And the next step should be the same wines after 12 years.
Exactly. They're all very young.
They're almost undrinkable at that stage.
It's almost sad that they open up these really expensive bottles. I mean, for me, there's no other time I'm going to have to taste those bottles because who's going to open them up?
Yeah, but you are able to understand their future.
Well,
Right.
Because I've had them.
I'm sitting there. I'm like,
I've had
them all along, so you're able to.
Right. I mean, this is already so many years that I've been doing it. Yeah.
There were definitely bottles that I had that in my head I knew were the bottles, you know, like they were the ones that I should be drinking, but they were just so rough to drink.
Yeah, because they're impossible.
so young.
Those bottles need 10 years easily to even start.
15,
Yeah, to just get started. Some of those Burgundies. Oh. Now I didn't know you're such a Burgundy fan. I would have brought you. I have some old Burgundies. I'd love to open. Okay, maybe when we come to Israel, I'll open some Burgundies with you. I'll bring some with me.
You leave tomorrow?
Yeah.
I leave tomorrow to Toronto. And
You gotta get a Montreal bagel, at least.
What is a Montreal bagel?
Oh, you gotta get a Montreal bagel.
We got to get Montreal. It's amazing.
You gotta go to
Montreal is a big
bagel.
food scene.
Really?
Besides, the food and wine culture here is very big. It's French.
Okay.
But it happens to be that a lot of the things that Montreal is known for are Jewish foods. Smoked meat,
Okay.
bagels.
Okay.
Like these are like
Those are not French.
even outside of
And the
and
Lower
poutine.
East Side.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Outside of the Jewish world, like people come to Montreal for Montreal food. There was a steakhouse here for many years called Moishes. It wasn't kosher, but it was like the steakhouse. Yeah, it's interesting that how Montreal food became like Jewish food somehow. I guess all these
Moshe's was Jewish.
yeah, Jewish. It was Jewish food. So what happened was the Jews came here at the turn of the century, and they created a lot of the Montreal food scene. Yeah,
Okay. So what is a Montreal bagel?
Cooking with bagel. That's the spot.
we have to get him somehow. He's staying near the airport. We have to get him a bagel. We're hitting almost 2 hours on this podcast, which I've never done before. So if somebody actually is sitting here still listening to us, first of all, I'm sorry for you. Please send us a postcard because if you've made it to this point. But I think if they made it to this point, let's give them a little gift. Share a little secret, some little gift.
Gift? It's not a gift, it's a tip.
Yeah.
Always drink 2 wines. Never one. Because if you want to understand wine, to understand what you're drinking, you have to have a reference. Unless you're many years doing that and you somehow built a database in your brain, you need a reference. And if you want to learn to appreciate wine, no matter what you open to, even if you like big cabs, open 2 big cabs. You understand one is leaner, one is more acidic, one is more dark fruit, one is more red fruit. Once you have something to compare it to, you'll understand both of them better. And it's really helped me a lot. you really want to understand wines and you're at home and, just on a regular basis, when you open one, open two.
I think it's a great message. Yaakov, thank you for coming to Montreal.
My honor and pleasure. Thank you for hosting me, inviting me.
Yeah, so thank you for what you did.
You did amazing. Really, honestly, my heart.
You did something absolutely incredible tonight. In my entire life of food and wine, this was... I was looking forward to it. I was waiting for it. It far, far exceeded every single...
You almost maybe missed it.
I was not going to miss it. I didn't care what it meant. I was stuck in New York in the snowstorm. And I had a lot of this, because he had sent
the ingredients.
I had a lot of ingredients with
All
me.
of the meat, everything he had with him.
And I said, I don't care if I'm going to have to drive. And I drove it because there's the only flights are starting tomorrow. There's no flights. And he needed it
The cook.
as soon as possible because he had to cook. So I drove straight. I didn't even stop. Didn't stop once, besides for the border. I drove from New York
Wow.
yesterday.
How many hours is that?
Because of the snowstorm, it was a lot more than usual.
Yes.
But you made
Specific
great
nefesh.
time.
Huh?
You made great time.
I made great timing because whatever. Because I wanted to get the food here fast.
We'll talk about that when we're not
Offline.
recording, yeah.
But yes, the only stop I made was the border.
Wow.
My father actually told me you were talking to him right before the board.
Yeah. I had all this stuff with him. He had sent somebody to collect all these different things that we needed, like a lot of the meats and things that we had tonight. The lamb, all that came from New York.
That blew my mind. It was such a great pairing. Like, really.
I love the smoked mushroom. I thought that was a really fun, like a really nice earthiness.
You look at the detail. I look at the overall.
Yeah.
But just to think of how many components were in each dish.
That's what makes the overall.
Yeah.
But it's no different than making a blend, right?
No, it's not.
It's the exact
Same thing. It's everything has its role, and some things you want dominant, some things you want other, in a small
And
level.
most people are just going to taste it and say, okay, it's either good or bad. Exactly. Like, but that's...
Yeah.
But those who know.
I was in New York yesterday, and Montrealers are like, what? We have winter tires. Like, what are you worried about? Because it was crazy, actually. Somebody had made all these phone calls and found me a car that had to go back to Canada. So it had winter tires on it. I wanted to drive a car with winter tires. And so I'm driving through these streets of Brooklyn to try to pick up this stuff for him, and every single street had branches in the ground because the snow was so heavy.
Heavy.
It was like this heavy snow that it just snapped the branches off. So you couldn't get through any of the streets.
Wow.
And the mayor had said, like, first of all, you couldn't drive until I the moment I could drive, which was 12 o'clock, I started going, but it took me a while to get out of New York. But once I got up to like more Poughkeepsie, like to northern, like onto the 87, it was fine.
It's crazy what happened to make this dinner.
If anyone understood that was here tonight, what happened to make this dinner, it was on so many levels.
But that's the beautiful thing, but also the challenging part is that so many people don't understand.
I understand.
How many people really? I mean, I asked you this in the middle of dinner at some point. I asked. I said, "How many people in this room do you think actually understand?" You said 10, maybe, probably 5%.
No,
Not even.
no,
I don't know.
maybe 2%.
But everybody understood that there's.
You're very...
It's very. I do a lot.
Everybody understands quality. Not everybody understands what's behind the
What
quality.
goes into the work?
I'll tell you something interesting that was different about this dinner than I do a lot of dinners. I do a lot of pairings. I try to do one of these around once a month. Very often, people are restless. We don't get the food out on time. It takes time when people are restless.
Nothing like that today.
Everybody It took the first dish.
There's a
They
little
were
bit
like,
of that.
no. The first dish, they were like, "Where's the fruit?"
Right.
And then, by the time I would say the lamb came out, which I think was a third dish.
Everybody drank enough to calm down.
I don't know if it was they were drinking enough. I think that they got it like, okay, there's something here. There's something.
That's true. That's true.
There's something going on here.
But there was also something with the wine. This wine is not meant to be gulped down.
It's not.
You savor it, you sip it, you enjoy it.
Yeah, it's meant for exactly what we did. I think this is an ideal state that
For the wines, I'm sure they need good food and paired food.
Yeah. Not everyone is that way. I mean, going back to those bold cabs, you can have a bold cab and you don't need to have anything with it because actually it'll destroy anything
You
that's
have
bad.
white fish next to it.
Exactly. Or whatever it is, you're going to have filthy fish next to
You
it.
can have rotten fish next to it. You wouldn't.
This has been an incredible night.
Rabbi,
Thank you so much.
you've hosted enough wine. I think this one over here is. There is next level.
You say there's no coming down from this?
That's the sad part.
That's it. There's no way up. We've
That's
reached
the
the peak.
bar.
I do feel like we've reached the pinnacle. Yeah, that's what they say. Until like, what are you going to do next?
It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something to it.
Thank you again. It's been a wonderful evening.
Thank you for being here and for schlepping out and for having to brave the poor Montreal winter, which I think has been very hospitable to you, even though it's inhospitable to, in general. Like you didn't get in the middle of a storm or anything.
Right.
It's just cold. It's just walking into a freezer. That's all it is.
This is a beautiful day here.
Here, when you wake up on a winter morning and there's sun, everyone will say it's a beautiful day. This is our bar, and my kids will say the sun is out, but it's not working.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Chaim.
L'chaim. It's so special to be together. And
I gotta add, we say l'chaim, I have to add something. You know why we say l'chaim? Because at the time of the Sanhedrin, when somebody was about to be executed,
yeah.
So we differentiate. They gave him wine, so when he's executed, he doesn't suffer too much. He's a little out of it. He's a little tipsy. He's able to tolerate it better. So we differentiate our wine that's lemavet. Our wine is l'chaim, but that's not good enough. Just that you don't die is not enough. You have to live. You have to say l'chaim tovim.
L'chaim tovim. L'chaim tovim. You bring such good Israel energy here. Next time we're together in the Holy Land.
Bezrat Hashem.